if you watch a Mavericks game, every single play he's arguing with the referees. I mean, if I was
like
a ref,
his hands are up. It's like, dude, everyone else is halfway up the floor right now, and you're still back here arguing.
Yeah. I mean, I would tee him up. There is no doubt in my mind, Gabe, the NBA's got to go to these refs and say, listen, you know what? Swallow the whistle with him.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
I am willing to bet on Wemby is a triple-double ladder season-long market. I did this actually with Caitlin Clark, who had a triple-double in Game 1 and then spent the rest of the season injured. I hope that does not happen with Victor Wembanyama. 3 triple-doubles at plus 165 should be absolutely no problem for Wemby. Had 2 his rookie season, 1 last year prior to the injury.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
It is exactly why, like you said, Donnie, this time of year is the absolute best in sports. And first off, the NBA returned to NBC. And hearing that theme music, seeing Mike Tirico back on the call, seeing Michael Jordan on the screen, it just felt right? Like an old friend that you haven't seen in decades that walks back into your life.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
People who filed it are actually representatives of Chicago, so they're from the city. They're kind of saying, this is really going to cripple the industry if we do this even more. I think it's really important when we talk about this stuff because so many places want to keep taxing sports betting more and more and more, which is well within their right. But there gets to a point where the bubble bursts and sports books either don't want to do business or they change the way they do it by passing it down to the customer.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome to another edition of the Craig Carton Show. Great to have you here. Little tired, not going to lie to you. Tyrone Johnson here as well. I pride myself in trying to get as much sleep as possible so I can be prepared and ready and alert to do this show for you fine people every single day. But last night was up till 3:08 in the morning. Meanwhile, we broadcast the show live from a restaurant in Manhattan.
Yeah.
And this is the problem with the parenting today. There are 3 kids in here under the age of 9 who are running around the restaurant that we're broadcasting from unfettered, mom and dad nowhere to be seen, grandma on the cell phone, and these 3 really cute little kids are just running around the restaurant like they own the place. Parenting has stopped, apparently, in America. Quit your running, kids. In any event, I was up till 3:08 in the morning last night because I don't understand how you could have gone to bed watching one of the greatest and most epic baseball games, World Series games, maybe of all time. And in particular, Freddie Freeman with the game-winning home run. We saw him hit the game-winning grand slam in Game 1 last year against the Yankees. In the 18th inning last night, Freddie Freeman hits a bomb to dead center to win the game. The game went more than 6 hours long. There's the video of it from a spectator at the game. Dead center, right over the center field wall. And the LA Dodgers take a 2-1 series lead over Toronto. But a couple of things happened in the game that we are privileged to be witness to. And if you got to watch it last night or you were able to stay awake last night, good for you, good for me. We'll be tired all day, and I will tolerate that because you can't turn off history. And what we got last night was historical. Not just the 11 consecutive innings from the 7th to the 18th with no run score on either side. We had dudes thrown out at third base twice. We had a guy thrown out, Freddie Freeman actually, thrown out at the plate earlier in the game. There was nonstop action throughout the entire game. And from the 9th inning on, every single pitch thrown, in theory, could have ended the game.
Yeah.
So it's edge-of-your-seat stuff. But in the middle of all of it, we are witnessing greatness. We are witnessing the Babe Ruth of our generation, who's probably better when it's all said and done, in Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani last night not only hit 2 more home runs, and he's the only guy now in the history of baseball with 3 multi-home run games in the same playoff year, but he got up to the plate 9 times yesterday. Of the 9 times he got to the plate, he got on base 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times.
9 times.
Now, 4 intentional walks, a 5th walk, which is kind of intentional. They pitched around him, and the 2 home runs, and doubles, and it's crazy. What we are witnessing right now is crazy. And much like yesterday, when I came around to Shedeur Sanders has to start for the Cleveland Browns, and I was the last holdout on that, I've tried everything in my power not to anoint Shohei Ohtani as the greatest baseball player of all time. And let me just walk you through why. The reason behind that is because he doesn't play the field. I know he's capable of it. They don't allow him to play the field for a variety of reasons, but I don't think you could be considered the greatest of all time if you're a designated hitter. And that's what he is. And yes, he has pitched this year and had that great NLCS performance when he had 10 strikeouts and also hit 3 home runs.
Yeah.
And we've never seen that before. But I'm the last holdout because I do believe to be considered the greatest player of all time, you have to play the field. Baseball is not just swinging a bat. But now, when you consider the fact that he's also going to be pitching, oh, by the way, in tonight's game with a 2-1 series lead after hitting 2 more home runs last night and getting on base 9 times in a Game 3 World Series scenario, I think I've got to change my take on it. I think I now have to accept the reality that we are watching, arguably, because these things can be argued, and it's a generational conversation. You know, are you a Willie Mays guy?
Right.
You know, if you saw Willie Mays. Are you a Mickey Mantle guy? If you were alive in the 50s. Are you a Babe Ruth guy? No one's alive anymore from the 20s, but it's a generational conversation. That being said, the one thing I do believe we can all now firmly agree on is that regardless of the generational aspect of talking about who is the greatest baseball player of all time, he's in the conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Is that fair?
Yeah, he's top 5 dead or alive at this point.
He probably is. And look, if you watch Willie Mays in his prime and you want to tell me Willie Mays is the greatest baseball player you ever saw, I can't argue with that. I never saw him in his prime. I saw him in the 70s when he was already an old man, quote unquote, you know, for baseball terms, as a New York Met. He wasn't Willie Mays, right? No. Obviously, I never saw Joe DiMaggio. I never saw Mickey Mantle. I never saw those great Yankees teams that dominated baseball in the 20s and then again in the 50s.
Hank Aaron as well. Maybe underrated. Most underrated guy ever.
Like, so there are other guys that based on when you were alive and if you saw them, you might say, no. That's the greatest of all time. And I think we got to respect that. But I can tell you right now, it's hard to argue against Shohei Ohtani being the greatest baseball player of all time because he does something that literally only one other guy in the history of baseball has ever done. And that's hit and pitch at the same time at the level we've seen him do it. 50-plus home runs. Oh, by the way, 50 stolen bases. He does everything. And I feel like I owe the baseball gods an apology because what we saw last night, which I know for Dodgers fans and Angels fans before them, they see it all the time. We don't. He's not on TV every day of the week. You know, there's still a regional aspect of baseball. That's one of the reasons we love baseball in the manner that we do. And you might only get to see him 10 times a year on national TV or the 3 times he plays your favorite team in your own building, right? But what I saw last night just left me breathless. I literally couldn't turn the TV off, and I get up at 5:30 in the morning. I went to bed at 3:08 last night because I didn't want to miss the possibility, not for Freddie Freeman, who's one of the best clutch baseball players of all time, but I didn't want to miss Ohtani. I wasn't willing to go to bed and miss a 13th inning, a 17th inning, an 18th inning. Pick your favorite inning, don't matter to me. I didn't want to be that guy that woke up this morning and had everyone else say to me, did you see it? Because it's different when you see the highlight of it. You're not emotionally invested in every pitch. And I have no rooting interest in the outcome of this World Series. But I couldn't go to bed last night. And Tyrone, I can't remember the last sporting event where I couldn't go to bed and wasn't willing to wake up to a highlight.
That's incredible. And you're talking about a guy already, when you're talking about this, that has 3 MVPs, about to win a 4th MVP. And this is better than that. Because we've seen Barry Bonds somewhat recently. We've seen greatness recently, Griffey. This is a whole nother level of it. And not only did you not want to miss the game, you don't want to miss him.
And that's the point. I didn't go to bed, because it's this classic American sports moment, but I was waiting for his next at-bat. And I'm like, all right, he made the last out of that inning. I got to wait 2.5 innings thereabouts. If they get a couple guys on, maybe I can get it, And I start doing the time game in my head, and everyone else in the house is sleeping, and I'm like a church mouse, and I'm like, here comes Ohtani. And it's weird. Like, I don't like the Dodgers. I have no rooting interest in them. I don't dislike them either. And they're about to be a little mini dynasty here in baseball. But I couldn't wait to watch that dude get up to the plate again, because in my mind, other than Freddie Freeman is such a clutch hitter, if there was going to be a guy to end it, man, I wanted it to be Ohtani. Another 3-home run World Series game? What?
It's sick. It's sick. And he plays on a team with 2 other MVPs, and he still rises above them all.
Like, we've forgotten that Mookie Betts is one of the great players of his generation, because Ohtani's so much better.
Yeah.
Last night for me, and I think I should say this, for the sport of baseball, it didn't save the sport. The sport's very healthy right now. But last night was a reminder of how great baseball can be. No man on second to start extra innings. This was pure baseball at its finest. And there are so many storylines, like a journeyman pitcher throwing more pitches than he's ever pitched in his life and going 4 scoreless. Crazy. Thank you, baseball. Thank you, Ohtani. You gave us a gift. Very young team outside of Durant. They're going to be an impossible out in a 7-game series, and I'm predicting it right now. If the seeding lines up, you are getting the Thunder and the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals. There's not another team in the West that's going to be as good as the Rockets are when we get to playoff time.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
I don't want people to stop discounting how good of a coach Rick Carlisle is. And I think they're going to find a way to get it done. I think they're going to be better than people think. And I also think if that's the case, then I'm fading someone in that division. You know who I'm fading, and that's the Milwaukee Bucks, who have now cut 2 players this year so that they can bring back both Antetokounmpo to play with Giannis.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
People who filed it are actually representatives of Chicago, so they're from the city. They're kind of saying, this is really going to cripple the industry if we do this even more. I think it's really important when we talk about this stuff, because so many places want to keep taxing sports betting more and more and more, which is well within their right. But there gets to a point where the bubble bursts and sports books either don't want to do business, or they change the way they do it by passing it down.
I don't think more than 4 or 5. I'd be shocked if he got to the 6th inning. They kind of used him as a mini bullpen game.
Yeah.
And with so many pitchers pitching last night on both sides, tonight's going to be a very interesting game. But also the beauty of a 7-game series, the series ain't over.
No.
Like, if you're the Toronto Blue Jays, I don't know how you even sleep tonight, but they wake up in the morning at some point and they're only down 2-1. Like, they're fine. Come out there and have a good game today, tie the series 2-2. And in reality, all that the Blue Jays are really looking to do is get 1. And they've not been a great home team this postseason. You just asked the Seattle Mariners about that. But just get one and guarantee going back to Toronto and then make it interesting at least.
Yeah.
But I am fully vested now. And I know the NBA we've had great NBA games. Tonight is a standalone. Even if my Knicks are playing tonight, I don't even know if they are, to be honest. But tonight is a standalone. Tonight is all eyes on baseball. We're going to watch arguably the greatest player of all time pitch after 2 more home runs last night. Knicks Bucks tonight.
Yeah, Knicks Bucks also the Sixers play, but I'm with you.
Yeah,
both our locals are playing. It's
look,
all about the World
I'm sure
Series.
I'll keep an eye on the Knicks at some point.
Yeah.
But after what I saw last night, and if I'm going to invest 6.5 hours of my life into a baseball game that I have no rooting interest in, and I'm going to get the performances we got across the board last night on both sides, like Alejandro Kirk. Just consider this for a second. He's the Toronto Blue Jays catcher. He's the fat guy on the field who hit a bomb last night earlier in the game. Do you know where they found Alejandro Kirk? You probably don't, right? And that's not a knock on you.
No, I don't.
Most people don't. You think, oh, he's in the farm system. Oh, he's a part of a trade that we forgot about years ago. Alejandro Kirk was playing in the Mexican Baseball League.
Really?
And they happened to see some tape on him. And I think it costs like $7,500 to get him out of his contract in the Mexican League. The dude's the starting catcher for the team in the World Series and has had clutch hit after clutch hit. And literally a year ago at this time, he was playing baseball for pesos in the Mexican League and had like a highlight tape, kind of like the kids have the huddle accounts now. And that's how the Blue Jays discovered him. And it's crazy. Like, their starting shortstop, because the Bichette injury, was a minor leaguer to start this season. Like, it's some of the side stories beyond Ohtani in this World Series because of the Dodgers payroll in comparison to some of the guys on Toronto. It's this great kind of ebb and flow and comparison. But I've not said this in a while. I guess since last year when the New York Yankees were in it, this is awesome. Baseball is back, and I'm loving it.
And I think we should also mention Vlad Jr. I mean, you got to mention that. He made some great plays during that game. He made a
throw across the diamond on a one-hop ball for, I think it was a shortstop to him that was never going to get to him. Came off the bag, one-hopped it, and threw a laser to third in a bang-bang play to throw a dude out of third base. Yes, there were some great plays.
And let's not forget, he's on base 490 in this postseason.
Yeah,
I mean, he's having a great, if not for Ohtani, we're talking about a magical run from him.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Meanwhile, while that game was going on, the football game last night started after the baseball game, and the baseball game still went 3 hours longer than past the football game. Look, the Kansas City Chiefs are back. I think we all have to acknowledge that. They're an imperfect team. They still have moments when you're like, more on defense for me than on offense. Patrick Mahomes is once again the greatest player in all of football and does stuff that's very frustrating if you want to see the Kansas City Chiefs lose. Huge game next Sunday, Chiefs and Bills. But here's what's interesting. Right now in the moment, they would be the 7th seed, but that's only because of games played.
Yeah.
All right, because the Jacksonville Jaguars have the tiebreaker against them. What you're looking at now is not fair. It says that they'd be the 7th seed on the road against New England. It's accurate, but it's not fair. And the reason that is not fair is that Jacksonville's already had their bye week. They just came off it.
Right.
So the Jacksonville Jaguars, they play the Raiders this weekend. When they beat the Raiders, then the Jaguars will trump Kansas City for that final spot. So once we get through all the bye weeks, we can really start talking about who's in and who's out. So yes, mathematically for the moment, Kansas City's back in, but it's only because the Jaguars have played one less games than they have.
Yeah, that part's
so we're not
fair.
there. So it's a statistical thing. It's not totally accurate because they played an extra game and they won the extra game. The Jaguars have the tiebreaker against them because they beat them a few weeks ago, as you remember. Yeah. That being said, as much as I don't like the Kansas City Chiefs and want to see their reign of terror come to an end, you're starting to get those vibes again with Kansas City that we've had in the entire Mahomes era. Like even last night, 7-7 at halftime. A couple bad interceptions, not both quarterbacks' fault in the first half. Kelsey drops the ball right through his hands. The other interception was just a great play by a defensive player. So, Mahomes at 2 at halftime. Mariota played great, I thought, last night. His first interception, or only interception, bounced right off the dude's helmet.
Yeah, he had one late in the game. Garbage time. Late, he had a second one, but that was late.
Driving down for what could have been a touchdown drive early in the game. That's not on him. So I'm concerned a little bit about the Chiefs' defense, because Mariota had his way with them in the first half. It just didn't result in points. But I'll tell you this, and it pains me to say it, it does, but the Chiefs' Super Bowl vibes, they're back.
They are back.
They're not the best team in football, but, man, offensively, they look like it. I know the Colts trump them in every statistical category right now and in the win-loss record. But if you're looking at the Kansas City Chiefs in the last 3 weeks, and for sure since Rashee Rice came back a couple weeks ago, and you're not getting Super Bowl vibes, well, then shame on you when you wake up in February and they're playing in San Francisco for another Super Bowl title.
And if we're going to be completely honest, we have to be.
Yeah.
In a playoff situation, if they're lower seeded than the Colts, let's say they have the bye, you're picking the Chiefs, even in Indianapolis, over the Colts. You just are.
Yeah,
you just are.
Yeah, you'd probably pick the Chiefs in every game. Even if it's on the road, because they've got the pedigree of doing it.
Patriots, Broncos, Steelers, you pick them over all of them.
And it's going to come down to, you think Drake May is going to beat Patrick Mahomes? No. You think Daniel Jones is going to beat Patrick Mahomes? No. You think Aaron Rodgers is going to beat Patrick Mahomes?
Not this version.
No.
Yeah.
And that's the issue. Yeah, I know the Texans are playing great right now. You think C.J. Stroud's going to beat him?
No.
No. Josh Allen? Maybe.
And
Hasn't done it yet.
And this week will be telling. We'll get the first head-to-head.
So it pains me to say it, but I told the audience a long time ago, I'd never lie to you. As much as I dislike it, the Chiefs Super Bowl march is back on. Damn it.
This is a guy we should be adding. And if you add him this week, you loved life, because he was coming off not just a great Sunday last week when we were ahead of that curve, but also a great Thursday night football as well. So last week, 7 for 9 for 164 and a touchdown. This week on Thursday, 5 for 5, 77 and a touchdown. He didn't even play the first 2 weeks of the year, and he's already a top 10 tight end in scoring, if you can believe it. Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Travis Hunter, Joe, is a part-time wide receiver. As I've told people from the moment he was drafted, there's zero chance long-term that they'll continue to do this in terms of playing offense and defense. They're going to have to pick a position with him. Brian Thomas, he was unbelievable. Talking to the Jaguars about him last season, he was so far ahead of schedule where they thought he'd be super smart. He had a wrist injury, by the way. We need to mention that, Joe, earlier this season.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
SMU is undefeated. You got Louisville that knocked off Miami. Miami has one loss. There's multiple teams that potentially can make a run for an ACC championship. So their backs are still against the wall. Like, Georgia Tech is not a shoo-in right now just because they're undefeated, because they still have to play Georgia at the end of the year as well. Even though it's out of conference, that can knock them out of the playoff.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
$17,848 have been bet on this question, Joe, at Kalshi. How many pro football games will Taylor Swift attend this season?
They average an average of 9.3 games during this season here, and a lot of that has to do with her reduced touring schedule, and this maybe being his final NFL season.
Incredible stuff here.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Hi, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Tyrone Johnson here as well. Speaking of the Chiefs game last night, something happened during the game that caught my eye, And I know full well we're going to put this clip out there. I'm going to get attacked and abused, and it's going to be ugly just like it was last week.
Chiefs fans are sensitive.
I got to ask the question, like, if I'm the only one that paid attention to this, because I'm the guy that has fostered the opinion for many years now that the NFL as a league and officials have curried favor to Kansas City.
Yes.
And I firmly believe that. I'll go to my grave believing that there's an unwritten rule to do things that favor Kansas City because they're so popular and they bring in more viewers. And part of that's the Taylor Swift aspect, but whatever. It's all good, right? So I'm watching the game last night, and they come back from a commercial break, and I think the world of Joe Buck. I think he is a Mount Rushmore play-by-play guy in the history of play-by-play. I want to be very clear about that. Troy Aikman's a fine analyst. Is he the greatest of all time? No, but he's Troy Aikman. He's good, right?
Yeah, he's very solid.
I have
Solid as a
nothing
rock.
negative to say about either guy. They come back out of a break, and they essentially did a commercial for the 1587 Steakhouse in Kansas City, which is the new steakhouse, which is owned by Patrick Mahomes, 15, and Travis Kelce, 87. And I'm sure it's a very popular steakhouse. But it did strike me as odd that the objective announcers for a game would have not only eaten at a restaurant that is named after and owned by two of the players playing in the game that they're broadcasting, but then waxed poetic about how great the steak was and how the drinks were awesome and the service was fantastic. And Troy Aikman said how he had to roll out of the restaurant to his room because he was so stuffed with the amazing food. And they basically did a full-on commercial for the steakhouse that's owned by two players playing in the game, which to me renders any attempt at objectivity pointless. Right?
Yes, of course.
There's a thing in radio, and I think it's in TV as well, and it's called plugola, which is you can't do commercials for companies because you get a free meal there.
Right.
It's against the rules. I think it's against the law, actually.
Technically, it is.
Like if Tyrone owned a burger joint, and he was like, Craig, come, eat my burgers. I'm not going to charge you. Say good things about the burgers on the air so more people come to my restaurant. It happens all the time. It's not supposed to happen, and I think it's illegal, actually, right?
It is.
Who am I to talk about illegalities? I get all that.
It is, just because of that. Yeah, it is.
And I'm not suggesting that Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, and I assume their production crew, did not pay for the meal at 1587 Steakhouse, but I can tell you, when you bring a camera into the restaurant and you tell the restaurant owners, we're going to show video of your restaurant, in other words, a commercial, we're going to advertise your restaurant for you on a national broadcast that's going to be seen by 15 to 20 million people. If I'm the restaurant owner, dinner's on the house because I appreciate the fact that you're promoting my restaurant. Now, I do not know that as a fact. I'm not accusing anyone of doing that. I'm just saying this. For people like me that think broadcasters, officials, and the league have been currying favor to the Kansas City Chiefs and Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce, and a lot of people tell me I'm out of my mind, that's never happening, and then I turn on a game, and those very same announcers are showing video of the inside of the restaurant that they ate at last night, and they're doing what amounts to a 30-second commercial for that restaurant, and that restaurant is owned by two of the more prominent players playing in the game that you're objectively broadcasting. Guys like me, their ears raise up a little bit, and they go, that's interesting. You went and ate food at a restaurant owned by two of the players playing in the game, and you're telling me how great the food was, and I have no reason to think it isn't a great steakhouse. I've never been there. I don't know, but I'm sure it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And now you're broadcasting and at times have to be critical. Like, for example, I don't know, when Travis Kelce has a ball go right through his hands and results in an interception for Washington, and we don't get a replay right away of it. And then when we do, we only get one. And we don't talk about how Travis Kelce is hurting the Kansas City Chiefs and has done so a couple times already this year. And then you say to yourself, that came right after a commercial for the restaurant that he owns that you ate at last night. one might ask the question, did you pay for dinner? And I'm just asking. I want to be very clear about this. I'm not accusing. I'm just asking. Did Joe Buck and Troy Aikman and whomever else they were with pay for dinner last 2 nights ago at the 1587 Steakhouse, or are they just a part of the ruse that are only going to say good things about the Kansas City Chiefs and those particular players? Inquiring minds might want to investigate that. Where's Pablo Torre when you need him?
This is a guy we should be adding. And if you added him this week, you loved life because he was coming off not just a great Sunday last week when we were ahead of that curve, but also a great Thursday night football as well. So last week, 7 for 9 for 164 and a touchdown. This week on Thursday, 5 for 5, 77 and a touchdown. He didn't even play the first 2 weeks of the year, and he's already a top 10 tight end in scoring, if you can believe it.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Travis Hunter, Joe, is a part-time wide receiver. As I've told people from the moment he was drafted, there's zero chance long-term that they'll continue to do this. In terms of playing offense and defense, they're going to have to pick a position with him. Brian Thomas, he was unbelievable. Talking to the Jaguars about him last season, he was so far ahead of schedule where they thought he'd be super smart. He had a wrist injury, by the way. We need to mention that, Joe, earlier this season.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
SMU is undefeated. You got Louisville that knocked off Miami. Yeah. Miami has 1 loss. There's multiple teams that potentially can make a run for an ACC championship. So their backs are still against the wall. Like, Georgia Tech is not a shoo-in right now just because they're undefeated, because they still have to play Georgia at the end of the year as well. Even though it's out of conference, that can knock them out of the playoff.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
$17,848 have been bet on this question, Joe Acalci. How many pro football games will Taylor Swift attend this season?
They average an average of 9.3 games during this season here, and a lot of that has to do with her reduced touring schedule, and this maybe being his final NFL season.
Incredible stuff here.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Again, if you didn't see it last night, you got to check out the highlights. One of the greatest World Series games in a very, very long time. Shohei Ohtani was up to plate 9 times last night and got on base 9 times. That's got to be some kind of record. I didn't check, but I'm sure that's a record for most on base. What's the word I'm looking for?
Most times on base.
Oh, yeah, you go.
Most times on base.
Most times. Meanwhile, I'm rocking this. It's a beautiful sweatshirt today, which is for a buddy of mine. Ryan's got a company for mental health and for suicide prevention. It's called FISH. Faith, right there, that's the F. Integrity, strength, and honor. And I wear this sweatshirt proudly.
Great calls.
My wife and daughter are watching the show right now, and tonight's the big night where I meet my daughter's boyfriend for the very first time. Yeah, he's a huge Eagles fan. And
then I love him. I mean, he's good there. He's
kidding.
great.
He's a diehard Giants fan.
I like him less.
He was upset last week when I talked about them dating that it came across like he was an Eagles fan. I haven't met the kid yet. I'm sure he's a great man. And I look forward to him ordering chicken tonight at the steakhouse we're going to.
Most likely. Chicken parm.
No. Chicken parm. Chicken.
Oh.
Chicken. We're going to a steakhouse for dinner. The young man can order the chicken. Not the chicken parm.
Why not the chicken parm?
Because that has sauce and cheese. That's extra. No.
A little too
he
much.
can get a grilled chicken breast and some bread. Is what he can get. And I'll tell you something else. If he orders a drink, he's out.
All right, the club soda.
So they're watching the show right now. They're going, is Daddy wearing that sweatshirt to dinner tonight? Well, what if I am?
Well, you're paying for it.
Right.
Do what you want.
Who do you think's buying dinner tonight? The guy in the fish sweatshirt. That's
right.
Exactly right.
His car.
So we'll see how that goes. I'll report back to you guys on it tomorrow. But I'm sure he's a great kid. I'm looking forward to meeting him. Anyway, Ohtani on base 9 times last night. An 18-inning thriller, 6.5 hours. It was baseball. That was like, I don't know. I'm not a baseball purist. But I work with a guy downstairs who used to work for MLB Network, my main man, Ethan. I think he'd agree with this. Like last night was, I think, a baseball purist dream, right? Right. I really, it was like everything that you love about the sport, you got. Like, tons of managerial decisions in the moment. Great defensive plays, some lousy base running for sure on the Toronto side that, obviously, I think aided LA in their win last night, getting thrown out of third twice, getting thrown out at home plate. Great throws, obviously, in the moments. But last night was a little microcosm of why we all fell in love with baseball. And I mean that. You had small ball. You had the big home runs. You had strategy. You had, walking the best player on the planet, which, Barry Bonds, you talked about Bonds earlier.
We saw
that
that
happen to him more than anybody. There was a time, for those of you that don't know, where Barry Bonds once got intentionally walked with the bases loaded. That's how afraid they were of him swinging the bat. And it was just, like, to me, everything right with the sport I grew up loving. And I think we've all kind of waxed and waned in our love of baseball over the years. Some of that because football's taken over. Some of that, for other reasons, whether it's, the time of games, the DH, a variety of things.
They don't market players well. A lot of things. You want to attach yourself to a player.
Baseball, for the last year and a half, record attendance, ratings are way up in the last couple of years from where they were in the quote-unquote down years of baseball. And last night was just awesome. Like, and here's what I'm waiting to see the ratings today, because we all recognize and accept that football is king in this country. And Major League Baseball understands that. And they know that last night, at Game 3 of the World Series, partially because you have a Toronto team and not like a New York team, the Yankees, Dodgers might have done better, would have done better for sure. But you still have the Dodgers. And the Dodgers are still one of the most recognized and marketable products and teams and franchises in all of Major League Baseball. But Major League Baseball last night went into the game fully aware that more people were going to watch the NFL game on Monday night with Patrick Mahomes playing. Yep. And that's just a fact. That being said, I think when the ratings come out at some point later today, we're going to be amazed by how many people did watch it. And I know we don't care about ratings all that much. The viewer doesn't. And you certainly don't care about how many people watched in Toronto. But I can tell you that if you add the Toronto number to it, or the Canadian rating to it, I think you're looking at, especially because it was a standalone event for the last 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours after the football game ended, and the football game was a blowout anyway in the fourth quarter. So I know a lot of people probably turned the football game off and either went to bed or went to the World Series. I think you're talking 15 to 20 million, which would be an absurd number for Major League Baseball for a single game, even being a World Series game. I think there's the possibility when you add the Canadian number to it, which I think is only fair because you have a Canadian team in it, that last night might be the most watched World Series game in the last 25 years.
Wow. That's bold.
And again, but because the football game's a blowout, the spread was no longer a concern of anyone's because they had the spread covered easily. And you got an extra 3 hours of baseball and on the West Coast in prime time. For us here, at midnight, we've got the football game off and now we're just watching Game 3 of the World Series and it went to 2:30 or so in the morning. But in the West Coast, that's prime time.
It's perfect time for them.
That's 9 to 11. You're talking about prime time viewing, and I think we are looking at what might be, and I hope I'm not way off on this, but I have a pretty good feel for ratings. Mm-hmm. I think last night's game might go down as the most watched World Series game in 25 years.
Wow. Well, that's pretty impressive. Now, there is one thing I want you to address because you'll be the best to address.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's something that's happening online with, I think, basement-dwelling virgins. They're saying that the 4 intentional walks were, quote, bad for the sport.
No, it's not.
Address it.
Yeah, and I figured there'd be people that are like, oh, why don't you pitch to him?
It's all over.
Dude, would you pitch to him?
Hell no.
So take out the fact that you're a virgin and sitting in your mom's basement and you're just a hater and you have nothing good going on in your life.
Yeah.
That's the person you just described?
Yeah, and there's a bunch of them.
All right, so just pretend for a minute that you're the manager of the Toronto Blue Jays. Like, the guy's got more multi-home run games this playoff season than any player in the history of baseball. He's on base every single time. And now, from the 7th inning on, you're a single hit or home run away from the game is over. So if you're the manager of the Toronto Blue Jays, it'd be malfeasance to pitch to Ohtani. Look, I'll say this. As fans who want to watch great players in big spots, we got robbed of that. Yes. And if that's your take, that as a fan, you robbed me of the moment, I agree with that 100%. That's not how you positioned it. So if that's their take, hey,
that's not
I'm
their
watching
take.
the game, I want to see Ohtani, I did too.
That's not their take.
But if you're looking at it like somehow, the game wasn't as great as I think it was, or Toronto did something wrong or dumb, well, then you got to rethink it, because just pretend you're the manager of the Blue Jays. Would you pitch to him? And I'll do you one better. Let's say it's the 14th inning, 5-5 game, and the Toronto Blue Jays decide we're going to pitch to him
with the bases empty.
A guy out of our bullpen who by default is not our best bullpen guy.
Yeah, he's not your closer.
Right? He's not my closer.
Not your
He's
setup
not my
guy.
setup guy.
It's just a guy at this point.
It's just a dude who's got a live arm.
Yep.
Okay?
That's it.
If you allowed let's just say, the worst guy you have in your bullpen, I'm going to take a shot, but that's what it is, right? And you allowed that guy to pitch to Ohtani, and Ohtani hits the ball 500 feet out of the stadium and wins the game, the manager gets fired for that. And what would you say at that point if you're one of these
basement-dwelling virgins,
dudes in their basement?
I even see them, because they yearn for the touch of a woman, that intentional walks should be worth 2 bases to discourage it.
Stop.
This is what they're doing. And it's had thousands of likes. This is what we've become.
It's just stupid. It's stupid. Just because the guy writes it doesn't mean it makes sense.
Right.
And just because 1,000 people agree with it
I
doesn't
agree.
mean they know what the hell they're talking about.
I agree.
Last night, the only answer, unless the bases were loaded, obviously, was you have to walk Ohtani. Because he has proven to be the most clutch dude on the planet. Like, that's the difference between him and Aaron Judge, right?
The clutch. Yeah, the clutch factor.
gene.
Yeah.
Aaron Judge is great in every other aspect. Ohtani's got a clutch gene that Aaron Judge doesn't have. So that's stupid. I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah.
Stupid is as stupid does. Stay in your basement, please. Ugh.
They got to go win and execute, and they can't be inconsistent. And that's the thing. It's like Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon, really consistent. And then who is that fourth question mark? And there's been inconsistencies throughout. Hey, Michigan goes out to the West Coast and gets manhandled, and then they come back and then they win. Like, who's the consistent one that is the fourth?
The Bobby Carpenter Show, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to have bet tracking for the first time. If you have a FanDuel account, you'll be able to track your bet on the Prime Video games. And tonight, if you are part of the ESPN Mega Content Service, we understand from an organization called Antenna that 2 million people at least have the ESPN Mega Content or Limited service. You will be able to track your bets also on tonight's NBA coverage. So this is the beginning of a major new era for basketball on television.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Like Marchand said, they're all a bunch of dirtballs, so I fit in with them. You know what I mean? Remember, like, the Phillies baseball team, like with Kroc and Dykstra and all those guys? Like, yeah, they're just a bunch of dirtballs, right? And that's what the Panthers are. They're all the same. Like, they all like to drink. They're all tough. They're all dirty in the corner. You know what I mean? They'll all do whatever it takes to win, but that's why they've won 2 cups in a row.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
For him and Cignetti are the most Spurrier-like personalities, Spurrier-like head coaches, and Cignetti's locked up. And you know what? And Ole Miss could very well lock Lane Kiffin up, but he will always be a fighting under. At Ole Miss, you will always be a little bit of an underdog because of who you're playing. At Florida, you don't ever have to be an underdog because of their resources.
The Bowden Blitz, only on SportsGrid.
Hi, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Tyrone Johnson here as well. I was thinking as I tossed and turned at 3 o'clock in the morning last night, if we are watching the greatest baseball player of all time, we're really privileged to be alive at this juncture in time. Because an argument could be made that we're not only watching the greatest baseball player of all time. I think Brady's the greatest quarterback, but you could certainly say that Mahomes has got a shot at one point, at some point next 10 years to equate to his career, maybe even pass it if he gets 20 more Super Bowls and wins a few of them. And then I happen to notice what Wemby's doing, albeit 4 games into the season. And again, I was late to the Wemby party, but your guy Wemby, 4-0 San Antonio Spurs, and I wrote it down here.
Yeah.
He's averaging 31 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 blocks 4 games into the season. We are blessed to have him in our lives right now. And the Spurs, there you go. They're the 3 guys right there.
The 3 GOATs?
Yeah. No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. But you're watching a dominant, 20-year-old in the NBA,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
31, 14, and 5. We already know the Mahomes story. Ohtani is now exceeding the hype, not just living up to it, especially from the clutch standpoint. And we get to watch them. This is why we love sports, right? Because if you fast forward 10 years from now and these guys continue to do what they're doing, the younger generation that's going to watch every snap, every shot, every swing of the bat of their careers is going to start having sports talk radio arguments about, listen, I know Jordan was great, but look about what Wemby's done.
What he could do, he's bigger. He could do this.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen.
Oh, I know Patrick. I know Tom Brady was great, but look at what Mahomes. I know Babe Ruth was great and Willie Mays was great, but look at what Ohtani's doing.
Yeah.
That's the next generation of the GOAT conversation, and I'm glad we have that image right there because we're blessed, man. This is why we love sports so much. When you see greatness on display every single night. Speaking of greatness, another NBA story as we do news and notes right here. How about Mac McClung getting a multi-year guaranteed contract to play in the NBA at the expense of James Wiseman? How about that? The reigning dunk champion getting a little taste of the NBA life.
No, that's also for him. He was in the Sixers organization. He was with the Magic organization. He had been with the Pacers organization. And look at this.
Yeah.
I mean, look at this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, that's for the slam dunk. It's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just incredible.
Now he's got to prove that he can do things other than dunk.
In a game. No, but he's been kicking around. And it just shows you, though, he's one of the best 1% of athletes ever to walk the earth. And look how long it's taken. It's hard to be great in the NBA.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Meanwhile, while he did get a multi-year contract, he'll be in the NBA. Bronny James played last night.
Oh, did he play?
Yeah, he did. He did what he does.
Oh.
Goose eggs.
Now, how does he only get up 2 shots?
Because
you got to go out there and squeeze. Nah, bro, you got to get out there and squeeze. Your dad's not playing right now. There's no Luka. I'm coming in the game.
You would think that
2 shots.
He would take
2 shots. He missed the boat.
But your boy Bronny James only took 2 shots.
Come on, bro.
He missed them both. But you're right. The Lakers are 500 right now. And there's a crazy story. Remember that book that came out a week or 2 ago?
Yeah.
It's a book about the LeBron LA Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
And in that book, the author talked a little bit about LeBron in a manner that not a lot of people are allowed to talk about him, right?
Said he was said Westbrook called him a fake and a phony.
Yeah, Westbrook talking about him in the book and all that kind of jazz. So the author came out yesterday on social media, and I'm forgetting his name. Yeitzman, is that his name? Yeitzman, I think.
I'll find.
I
believe that's right.
Came out yesterday and said that the Los Angeles Lakers hired a guy named Marty Singer, who's a big defamation type lawyer, I guess out in L.A., and threatened to sue him if he put the book out in an effort, I suppose, to protect LeBron and LeBron's image in this book. And what's interesting about that is that it dovetails with a story I just heard Jeff Teague tell on a podcast he was on. And Jeff Teague played in the NBA for a long time and has no reason to lie about anything. But Jeff Teague tells a story that since he became a podcaster, that if at any point he has had something negative to say about LeBron, that the phone rings pretty quick. And it's people serious people, like gangsters, is the way he's kind of describing it, reminding him it's not funny. Stop talking about LeBron and stop telling LeBron stories publicly, or else we're going to do something about it.
Wow.
And when you add that, and that's from Jeff T, you can look it up. And now you've got the author telling us that the Lakers hired a big-time, powerful lawyer to try to scuttle the book so it never came out, so that we wouldn't learn more about the allegations in it regarding LeBron and I guess the things that Westbrook and others might have said about him in the book. Now it's almost like it's weird now.
That's weird.
Like, so what? People criticize you, say things about you. He's got gangsters, allegedly, working for him, shutting people down.
But that's dumb.
Crazy to me.
I mean, all the book said was he's phony. If that's the worst thing anybody says about you in your life, who cares?
But like Jeff T has said some things about him, like locker room stuff and, personality stuff and relationship stuff. And you're telling me that you can't talk honestly about LeBron, or one of his henchmen is going to come pay you a visit?
And Teague also...
that's crazy.
And Teague also admits he never won a playoff game against him and lost every playoff game to him. So, okay, you don't like him, which is fine. You also never beat him.
Yeah.
So, it's weird.
We're going to keep an eye on that and see if this story's got legs. But the book's out.
Yeah, book's out.
So it's not like you can't stop it now. The book is out. And then last thing, news and notes. And this goes against everything that us New Yorkers care about, but I have to respect your people in Philadelphia. Cam Scatterbo, the talented rookie running back for the Giants who leads the team in touchdowns. You saw that gruesome injury, dislocated his ankle, foot's pointing the wrong way in the loss against the Eagles. So they rushed him to a local hospital in Philadelphia for emergency surgery to repair the ankle, the foot, and all that stuff. And as you'd expect, the doctors and nurses, as you would expect in any hospital, no matter where you're from or who you root for, gave him the greatest of care. But the Eagles and head of security, Dom,
Big Dom,
also went to the hospital and visited him in person and brought some pizza and cheesesteaks for him, which is a very classy move. Cam Scatterbo was raving about the treatment he received, not just medically, but from the city of Philadelphia. From Philadelphia fans.
He got the standing ovation when he left the field, unfortunately, that he got hurt.
And I think it's great.
Yeah, I do too.
It's so out of character for you people in Philadelphia.
Brotherly love. Brotherly love.
But someone's going to have to remind Cam Scatterbo, as long as he's a New York Giant, that we don't like each other very much. But I did think it was great and so honest of him. And what a great move by Dom, the head of security for the Eagles, to make a point of visiting him in person and bring him some of Philly's finer foods. So it's funny how we hate each other, but in that moment, it was all good. So great job by the Eagles and by the people in Philadelphia.
You see this team, and they're talking about A.J. Brown still. It's an injury. We want him. Are we going to ship him? This situation has to play out in the sense of, I think he wants to be there, but at the end of the day, you can't disrupt the locker room every single week. And the Eagles need him to be there if they're going to make a Super Bowl run.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The playoff matchups for Asher Genty are not great. We start to look ahead. I know it's early, but it's not that early. So Genty, I think, is still a better long-term guy than it is maybe a redraft situation, especially with the schedule maps out. But I don't see a lot of games where he's potentially in a situation where the Raiders are ahead and running the football a ton, if you know what I mean. It's kind of tough out there for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Are they chanting? Is it over? Does
They'll be gone by halftime. No,
are they chanting fire? Brian,
probably.
Kelly,
yeah,
clap,
it would be warranted. It would be. I mean, you won a national championship in 2019. You're getting top 5, top 10 recruiting classes each and every year. You had the quarterback back to back to back to back. How many more chances are you going to get? I mean, really, what are we doing here?
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Very young team outside of Durant. They're going to be an impossible out in a 7-game series, and I'm predicting it right now. If the seeding lines up, you are getting the Thunder and the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals. There's not another team in the West that's going to be as good as the Rockets are when we get to playoff time.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Hi, welcome back to the Craig Carton. There's so much going on, and obviously only an hour. Hard to get into a lot of it in depth. And I'm still feeling it from last night. The amazing Game 3, and the beauty of sports. You come back, you got Game 4 tonight, and Game 3 has nothing to do with Game 4 other than the use of the bullpen and pitchers that won't be available. But you do have Ohtani pitching for the Dodgers tonight. Real quick though, the NBA sent a memo out to all of its players in regards to the current and pending gambling scandal from last week. Given the spread of legal betting to the majority of U.S. states, the recurrence of integrity issues across sports, and the emergence of novel betting formats and markets, it's an opportune time to carefully reassess how sports betting should be regulated and how sports leagues can best protect themselves, their players, and their fans. This is from Adam Silver, who is a very successful lawyer prior to becoming the commissioner, and obviously worked with David Stern in the same law firm prior to both of them joining the NBA. They say they've begun a process of reviewing league policies regarding injury reporting, the training and education of all NBA personnel, and then safety measures for players. So let me walk backwards on that. What the NBA is concerned about, beyond the integrity of the sport, which is paramount to everything, a lot of players are reporting to their respective teams that all year they hear from fans in the arena about how their wagers are being affected by the performance of players. And not a day goes by where there's some loudmouth in the crowd saying, I need one more point. Hey, so-and-so, I need 2 more rebounds. Or get your ass back in the game. Or, hey, you cost me my mortgage. That's real.
It's real.
Because the fans are on the court. They're right there. That's real, and the players are concerned about it from a safety standpoint. The players are also aware of these prop wagers, and they know what their numbers are. So the NBA is in an interesting spot. The NBA cannot tell one of the books or one of the gambling sites what they can and cannot take from a standpoint of wagering.
Right.
They can sit with them and have a conversation. And look, I know the CEO of one of them very, very well on a personal level. They would take that meeting, and they all want to be great partners. But the fact that the NBA is now acknowledging we have a problem and we're not quite sure how to fix the problem, so we want to have an open dialogue with our members, our union members, our players about the problem, means that they're also aware there's more coming down the pike.
Absolutely.
And they want the public to know we take it seriously, we're on it, and we're afraid of it. And one of the things, and one of the points I want to make, which I've made in a lot of the interviews I've done in the last 4 or 5 days, in which I want to give the NBA credit. I don't know if Roger Goodell would do this. I'd like to think they would. I know hockey has, Gary Bettman has, and I know Rob Manfred would, and they have as well. So I'm going to give the NFL the benefit of the doubt too. You know, the only reason we discovered, or the feds discovered, this alleged gambling scandal with Chauncey Billups, with Damon Jones, and with Terry Rozier is because the NBA reported it. The only way the NBA had an opportunity to report it was because they're in bed with legalized gaming sites and the fact that gambling is legal in 38 states. If this was still a back alley, mob-controlled thing in which the NBA, the NFL, all the sports, were against the concept of it, which they used to be, then we have a different problem on our hands, because you and I would never know that Terry Rozier might have taken himself out of a game so that his buddies could go win $200,000. The fact that it is mainstream, the fact that the NBA does contract with an independent company to report back to them on fugazi or fishy or potentially problematic wagers is the only reason we caught the guys that were allegedly doing it. Because they self-reported. There's an independent company that flagged the wager. They call the NBA. The NBA investigates it. They don't have your subpoena powers. They can't make you answer their questions if you're not a member of the NBA or an employee of the NBA. So based on the few people they talk to, nothing to see here.
Right, Rozier says, nah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Rozier was having a good year.
Yeah, my foot's hurt.
Right.
He ended up getting traded to the Heat that year.
The NBA then goes to the federal government and says, we need you to investigate this. And that's how this thing happened. So I want to be clear. It's a black mark on the NBA for sure. It's a black mark on the NFL, and Calvin Ridley did it. And a couple of those dudes on the Lions got caught doing it. It's always going to be a black mark on the leagues when the scandal happens. But I think we should also recognize and appreciate that the commissioners of these leagues didn't hide it. They may not have told the public about it, but they don't have to. As long as they're dealing with it and handing out the proper punishment, then we're good. This thing blew up in their faces, but you should know that behind the scenes, they were on it. And if they weren't on it, then we never would have known about it, and Rozier would not have been suspended, and Billups would not have been suspended, and Jones would not have been suspended, and the next guy wouldn't be suspended. So just keep that in mind. Have yourselves a great day. Game 4 tonight. We'll be all about it tomorrow, plus tons of NFL talk right here on The Carton Show.